Hello and welcome to Mother Knits. I hope you have a comfortable place to sit and put your feet up while I share what I learned in knitting and finishing the 24 birds circular shawl. I really had no business casting on this project. It was 4 skeins of fingering weight yarn, a mystery knit along that blazed right through my due date, but I can tell in hindsight I was craving a place that my mind and my hands could exist outside of the all-consuming life that motherhood can be, especially when you're bringing a third child into the world. It is such a challenge to be a modern mother and to be grounded and to be present with your kids. It is something I have to really pay attention to, and I really prioritize these knitting projects for myself because I want my children to grow up seeing me create beautiful, useful things with my hands from start to finish, especially the occasional big project like this. So that also justifies my real obsession with this craft of knitting. And I'd love to now share some of the specifics that I learned taking on my first all-over lace shawl. My name is Catherine. This channel is a space where I love to share with you my fiber arts journey, mostly knitting these days. And in today's episode, I want to take a deep dive with you on a recent finished object. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I just popped some pictures up as soon as I got it off the blocking mat. It was one of those projects I just couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to share with you. That is the 24 Birds Circular Shawl by Helen Stewart. So here we go. Let's show you the right way. Here we are. It is absolutely massive, absolutely gorgeous. And what I wanted to do was give you my thoughts and reflections as this is fresh off the needles, off the blocking mat, and I have some things that I would do differently if I were to ever knit this again or knit a project of this scale or a shawl of this scale or even a blanket. I know some people I've seen have said that this can be like a blanket, and I agree with that, except it is just so intricate and so detailed. It would have to be in a very safe place around here. I have 3 little kids, and we'd have to be very mindful of where we decided to throw this as a blanket. I plan on wearing this as a shawl, and I am a shawl lover. I am a shawl knitter, shawl wearer. I think they are so feminine and cozy, and as far as knitting goes, to me, shawls feel like one of the more intimate items that you can make for yourself or for a loved one. So what I want to cover in this chat is, well, first just some reflections on the process of this. This was such a deeply special project for me. I haven't had a creative project that was so meaningful to me, maybe ever, because I cast this on the same week that my son was born. I was knitting away on this pattern while I was in labor. I've just finished it. So he was born on March 23rd. I finished it on the summer solstice, and I didn't really knit on anything other, a few other things, but this was primarily where my focus was. If I was in bed and my new baby was sleeping next to me, I was knitting on this, and it just really has captured and held such a precious window of time in my life. So, and it just was an enormous project. So if you are wanting to take on a project such as this is what I've learned. This is what I want to offer. With a lace, all over lace shawl, with my yarn choice, I would have done things differently. So for this knit along, this was a mystery knit along. So we didn't know what the pattern was going to look like when we cast this on. I probably still would have chosen all of these colors as a first time all over lacework knitter. I started with this center color. You can sort of see, this is what the ball looks like now. Mostly cream with these little pops of pink and oranges and tan and almost like a golden ochre. You can sort of see, right? However, this yarn and 3 of the 4 yarns that I chose have that very speckled thing going on. It's not like a beautiful light variegated yarn like this one, which was like my main pop of color in this pattern. This doesn't have that speckling effect. All of my other colors do. They have that dramatic little pop of pink or of navy or like a caramel color in this blue, and then this sock yarn was a wide range of different depths of color. I think for lace work, that is too busy. And that's just something I realized as I was almost done with this, and I really started to get a good idea of what this was going to look like finished. And it's just so busy with the colors. I love the tones that I chose, but those little speckles everywhere for me mixed in with this incredible lace work that I've done, that's just too much going on. And so if I were to start this again, I would get a yarn kit. This is 4 skeins of fingering weight yarn that you're going to be dipping into. And I would be looking for yarns that, sure, they could have some dimension, but not all of the little brush strokes of different beautiful pops of color. I love that yarn, which is why I bought it in different projects. But for something like this, all over lace, I don't think that that was something I would repeat. I think it really takes away from all of this really intense lace work that I've done on here. The other thing that I would recommend, if this is the first time you're tackling all over lace, something of this scale, is to do some research on how to insert lifelines and use those little round circular markers. My shawl was filled with those markers. I put them every single repeat because I wanted to know every single time if I missed a yarn over or if I was off a number of stitches, and would fix it right away. Now this is riddled with all sorts of little errors that no one will ever find, I hope. And that's okay. I knew that it wasn't going to be perfect. It was a huge confidence builder for me to take on a project like this. As a knitter, I feel so ready for my next project, my next lace and cable work project that I'm taking on, that I'll share with you guys next week. For me, with this project, and again, and we all have different degrees of busyness, right? Of commitments, people pulling on us. I have 3 kids that I'm homeschooling and raising. A project like this, I could not have another project going on, which was a little bit frustrating for me because I am very much a process knitter, and to sort of be bound to one project at a time is not the most comfortable thing for me. I like having freedom in picking up and starting something or just dabbling around. But I knew if I wanted this one finished, and I really, really did, I really wanted this finished because of the timing that I was knitting on it in my life. I wanted this to be a keepsake and to mark a very specific window of time for me in my life. And so it was really important to me that I cast this off, was able to actually use it. And I just couldn't have multiple projects going on at the same time while I was knitting on this, because my mind could only handle so much during the day, right? With a newborn, 2 other children, we've been doing a lot of traveling, and with all of that going on, trying to remember where I was in this project was just not something that I wanted to strain my mind on. So I was just monogamously knitting on this project for months, and I'm very glad that I did. I'm so much more confident now. A few months ago, I showed you guys I got yarn for the Faye top, and then I got cold feet. I cast it on a few times. Things were off. I was having a hard time reading my stitches and the chart and lining it all up, and I just threw my hands up and I said, I'm just gonna come back to that another time. I've since come back to that project, and after completing this project, I now have the confidence and the actual skill set to pick up that project. So I picked that project back up, got it back on the needles, and I'm just flying through the first dozen rows with short rows, with lace work, with, the cables are coming up, and I just feel so much more confident now. So I would say this is a very adventurous beginner knit. I had knit the Ranunculus. That was the lace work that I had done up to this point. And I think that was just enough for me to just dip my toes in and kind of have an idea of what I might be getting into with this. And it really, really took me a long time. This center piece, just this pink part, this beautiful mandala part, this took me the longest amount of time. After I got through that and started moving on to this second color, I had some momentum. It was going. It was, we're gonna do this. But there was a lot of tinking back. There was a lot of mistakes I made along the way, and I just decided to stick with it and just didn't give up on myself, and just, even if I needed to rip back a bunch, I did it and would start again. And I'm really, really proud of myself, and I think that there's just something to be said about that, about really pushing ourselves sometime with our craft, making sure that we're growing. And there were certainly moments where I was very frustrated with this and needed to put it down, but I am ultimately just so thrilled that I do have it now. My biggest tips would be, because now you have this huge, beautiful shawl, and just make sure your color choices are something you are going to just really, really, really love. I would even, if I take something on like this again, oh, baby's waking up, I would knit a little sample swatch of all of the colors together and just see kind of, in rows, see how I like them. All right, that's my cue to finish this one up and go hold that beautiful new baby. Thank you all so much for being here and chatting with me about this project. I hope it gave you some insight and some tips if you're going to be taking on a big project such as this one. I'll see you next time.